Have you ever noticed how some INFJs can completely diffuse a tense situation without raising their voice, like a chess grandmaster quietly announcing checkmate? At the same time, their opponent still plans their strategy. There is something almost unsettling in its quiet effectiveness. In the next few minutes, I will reveal 7 psychological strategies that INFJs naturally develop but rarely discuss. These sophisticated defense mechanisms leverage the INFJ's unique cognitive wiring, grounded in mutual understanding rather than manipulation. Each strategy is a distinct move in an invisible social game that most people never consciously recognize. And once you see them, you'll never view social dynamics the same way again. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. Strategy number 1, the intuitive edge, reading intentions before they're revealed. INFJs possess a cognitive function called introverted intuition, which is their primary lens for processing information. Unlike more common sensing functions focusing on concrete details, introverted intuition operates mainly below the conscious threshold, constantly collecting and analyzing patterns that most people miss entirely. Neuroscience research indicates that the INFJ's brain forms neural connections across seemingly unrelated information, creating a comprehensive understanding of social dynamics. The intuitive insights emerge from thousands of data points collected over time. An INFJ might detect tension between team members weeks before conflict surfaces, giving them time to implement preventative strategies rather than reactive solutions. This pattern recognition operates like a background processor running 24/7, making connections between subtle behavioral cues. It serves as an early warning system, allowing INFJs to prepare responses to situations before others even realize there's a situation to address, essentially playing chess while others are still setting up the board. Strategy number 2, the mirror shield, reflecting others' behavior with strategic insight. Beyond pattern recognition lies an even more sophisticated INFJ defense strategy. The most potent response to hostility isn't always a counterattack or retreat. Sometimes it's simply holding up a mirror. This psychological technique transforms the INFJ's natural empathy into a protective shield that often leaves aggressors disarmed and questioning their approach. When confronted with hostility, the INFJ employs the mirror shield technique. Building on their subtle observation skills, they create something rare in confrontations: genuine self-awareness. Rather than becoming defensive, an INFJ might calmly observe. "I've noticed this pattern in our interactions. I'm curious about what's driving it." This response acknowledges the behavior while inviting deeper reflection. The psychological principle operating here is fascinating. Humans find it difficult to maintain aggressive behavior when met with calm reflection instead of the defensive reaction they expect. This disruption of the typical conflict script creates a momentary pause where genuine connection becomes possible, often leading to uncomfortable self-recognition. What makes this approach powerful is how INFJs address both behaviors and the underlying emotions driving those actions through an empathetic lens. Consider how this works. When a colleague repeatedly interrupts an INFJ in meetings, they might gently note, "I've observed you seem concerned about getting your perspective heard. I wonder if my communication style makes you feel your points aren't being valued." This reflection often stops the pattern by addressing the behavior and its emotional driver. Strategy number 3, strategic withdrawal, creating power through calculated distance. Sometimes, even the most skilled mirror holders must step away from the reflection. When INFJs seemingly vanish from conflicts, they're not retreating, they're executing what might be their most misunderstood yet effective strategy. In a world that demands immediate responses and visible engagement, the INFJ's strategic withdrawal often gets mislabeled as avoidance or even weakness, but nothing could be further from the truth. Studies in conflict resolution consistently show that creating space between stimulus and response leads to more effective solutions, a principle INFJs implement naturally. This calculated distance creates the mental space necessary for their powerful cognitive processing to unfold. While others remain caught in the emotional whirlwind, the INFJ gains perspective from a higher vantage point, seeing patterns invisible to those still engaged. Consider a team meeting where tensions rise over project direction. The INFJ excuses themselves to gather thoughts. Frustrated team members continue debating during their absence, revealing underlying concerns and motivations they might otherwise keep hidden. One researcher noted, the dual nature of INFJ's strategic withdrawal creates uncertainty in opponents, often causing them to reveal more of their position than intended, providing additional information to work with. This silence extracts information without asking a single question. During these periods of withdrawal, they analyze vast information networks, identify patterns, and consider long-term implications that others miss in the heat of confrontation. When the INFJ finally returns, they arrive with insights that transform the entire conflict landscape. They don't just solve the immediate problem, they often reframe it entirely. Strategy number 4, the empathy paradox. Understanding as a strategic advantage. The reframing power of an INFJ doesn't just come from stepping back, it emerges from diving deeper. After careful analysis, what truly transforms conflicts is their paradoxical approach to emotional engagement. While most people believe maintaining emotional distance provides an advantage in confrontational situations, INFJs demonstrate something remarkably counterintuitive. Their rare form of empathy, the ability to experience others' emotions as their own, becomes their most powerful strategic asset. This capacity transforms what many consider a vulnerability into an unexpected strength. When someone approaches an INFJ with hostility, they instinctively look beyond surface-level aggression to understand the underlying emotional currents. The empathy paradox occurs when deeply feeling someone else's emotional state, even their negativity, provides a strategic advantage in resolving conflict. Picture a workplace scenario. A colleague repeatedly undermines an INFJ during team meetings. The INFJ notices subtle insecurity indicators, a tremor in the voice, or averted gaze after harsh comments. Addressing these underlying emotions with genuine compassion disrupts the expected conflict pattern. Research in interpersonal psychology confirms that authentic empathy triggers neurological responses that challenge sustained aggression. This emotional aikido redirects negative energy, transforming the entire interaction. Instead of meeting aggression with defensive reactions, the INFJ creates space for understanding. The beauty lies in its authenticity. This isn't manipulation, but genuine connection. When someone expects defensiveness and instead encounters sincere concern for their well-being, the entire dynamic shifts. The INFJ's approach effectively short-circuits conflict at its source by addressing the emotional needs driving the behavior in the first place. Strategy number 5, information mastery. Collecting and deploying knowledge with precision. Beyond emotional aikido, we explored the fact that INFJs possess a mental database that would make intelligence agencies envious. Most people forget approximately 40% of new information within the first 24 hours. Yet, INFJs not only retain crucial details about personalities and patterns, but they weave them into intricate mental maps that allow them to navigate complex social terrain with remarkable precision. The psychology behind this is compelling. INFJs excel at creating knowledge structures that connect seemingly unrelated information points. While most people remember isolated facts about colleagues or friends, an INFJ's brain automatically catalogs these details within meaningful contexts, linking offhand comments about someone's past to their current work anxieties or connecting communication styles with deeply held values. What makes this ability particularly powerful in conflicts is how strategically INFJs deploy their knowledge. They don't bombard others with everything they know. Instead, they carefully select the exact information to create a breakthrough moment of understanding, often addressing root causes rather than symptoms. This precision deployment explains why conflicts involving INFJs often resolve in unexpected ways. They connect dots that others don't see exist through a genuine understanding of the human dynamics at play. Strategy number 6, the perspective shift. Reframing reality to transform conflicts. Understanding human dynamics is the starting point for INFJ's most transformative conflict strategy. When everyone else is busy fighting over who's right within the existing framework, INFJs quietly change the entire framework itself, creating those rare moments when opponents don't just concede points, but experience genuine perspective shifts that make previous positions completely irrelevant. This capacity to reframe isn't just clever wordplay, it fundamentally restructures how a situation is perceived. Rather than telling someone they're wrong, which triggers resistance, INFJs present an entirely new way of understanding the problem that often shows how current approaches undermine deeper values or long-term goals. Cognitive psychology confirms the power of this strategy. The human brain naturally resists direct challenges to its beliefs, but readily explores new conceptual territories. By changing the emotional or conceptual lens through which a situation is viewed, seemingly unsolvable problems suddenly reveal new solutions. The INFJ's approach resembles changing the rules of a game while it's being played. Imagine chess players fiercely competing when suddenly the board transforms into a cooperative puzzle where their pieces must work together. Their previous strategies become instantly obsolete in this new paradigm. Strategy number 7, the long game. Planning beyond immediate confrontation. Those perspective shifts are just the tip of a much deeper strategic iceberg. When an INFJ appears to back down or concede a winnable point, they're not being passive. They're calculating a complex equation where today's slight loss creates the perfect conditions for transformative change that others can't yet imagine. What looks like surrender is the first move in their most masterful strategy. The INFJ approach operates on calculated long-term investments rather than immediate gratification. They evaluate success over months or even years, constantly asking, what foundation am I building with today's actions? This strategic patience allows INFJs to achieve genuine conflict resolution rather than temporary truces. This approach starkly contrasts our culture of quick wins, viral comebacks, and public takedowns. At the same time, most personality types measure success by immediate outcomes, winning the argument or proving their point. INFJs prioritize relationship preservation, which is essential for implementing meaningful changes later. They build trust to influence core values and systemic patterns over time by demonstrating flexibility on surface-level issues. This approach's brilliance is that it preserves relationships that will be essential for implementing more meaningful changes later. What's fascinating is how this strategic patience operates without manipulation. The INFJ genuinely cares more about creating sustainable harmony than about immediate validation. This authentic commitment to long-term well-being gives their strategy an integrity that others intuitively sense and respect. The quiet strength of INFJs lies in transforming situations, not dominating them. When an INFJ dissolves tension without confrontation, you're witnessing conflict resolution that prioritizes understanding over victory. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.